Well, it was a tactical fight, and both boxers were cautious and cagey in the opening stages. But Froch slowly took control. Groves started to get back into the fight before then being hit by a brutal right hand 2 minutes and 35 seconds into the 8th round. He collapsed onto the canvas. Referee Charlie Fitch immediately realised the severity of the blow and didn't even bother with a count, so Froch retained his WBA and IBF belts in emphatic fashion.
If I'm totally honest, I do not know what I want next. I've got to just go back, relax with my family. I don't know what's going to top this tonight. I honestly don't know. I can't say to you now that I'm going to fight again, because I don't know if I'm going to. I don't even know if I want to. Because, you know, what I've done tonight and what I've achieved and the size of the event at the National Stadium, 80,000 people, Sky box office, a rematch, everybody's watching. How am I going to beat that?
I felt like the fight was going in my favour. I thought I was performing very well. I had to obviously go back and watch it, and it seemed like one of those cliche things in boxing. It was a split-second mistake. Obviously left the target open. Carl Froch, to his credit, took full advantage of that and proved that, you know, got the job done.
Would you fight De Gale?
Who?
James De Gale.
Oh, James De Gale. He done well tonight, didn't he? I'll fight anybody. I'm not going to say I'm going to fight him next, because why would I say that? I'll fight anybody. But if I'm not fighting again, I won't be fighting anybody. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go home and relax.
The shot he caught me with, I didn't see coming. I only saw one quick, brief replay of it, and I was certainly on the floor longer than I realised. So it was a full-blooded shot. Took it on the chin, and just, you know, I'm sure the referee made the right decision to stop it. But I'll come back better and fitter and stronger, and there's no doubt I won't be world champion sooner rather than later.
I will be very happy if that was the last punch I landed in professional boxing. I could walk away from the sport on the back of that very, very satisfied. I don't need to fight again now. I don't need to.
Well, Froch threw 35 more punches in the fight, with 349 punches to Groves' 314. But it was Groves who landed 30 more punches in the fight, 126 to 96, meaning Froch landed 28% of his punches on the way to victory, with Groves landing 40%.
So what about Groves? Well, he now has to rebuild his career after a second failed world title challenge. His former trainer and manager, Adam Booth, thinks he may have gone into the fight taking victory for granted.
George, you know, something that he and I spoke about for years, or I certainly spoke about for years, that he does suffer with complacency, and I don't know whether it was complacency for that moment or whether he was complacent thinking that he had this in the bag before he stepped in the ring. If you look at Carl's pedigree as an amateur and a pro, you can't take him for granted. You know, George didn't take him for granted the first time round. Carl was guilty of that, and maybe it was the flip side today.
David Haye is convinced Groves will eventually become a world champion and expects Froch to target a big fight in America if he decides to fight on.
Carl, I believe, goes to Las Vegas and fights Chavez Jr. in a massive pay-per-view fight in the States. I think he's always wanted to fight in Vegas, and that would make perfect sense for him. George rebuilds, have a couple of fights, get his confidence back, and he'll be world champion one day. George, believe me, will be world champion. He's world champion. You know, it was neck and neck with Carl. This was Carl at his best. Carl was on point tonight, and it was neck and neck. It was, as I said, I only had Carl one even, and I had the first 2 rounds even. You know, so it could have went either way on points.
Well, Hearn agrees it may be hard for him to find a fight for Froch bigger than the one at Wembley, and is unsure if fighting IBF mandatory challenger James De Gale is the way forward.
It's another big domestic fight that, you know, gets everybody interested. But ultimately, you know, Carl talks about Vegas, maybe that's something, but I think right now, you know, I think when he goes back and sits down and says, how can I, you know, what can I do that will top that? And the answer is, I don't know. And unless I can provide something that will, maybe that will be the factor.
Froch's trainer, Rob McCracken, expects him to fight on.
He's a very, very, you know, wealthy man. He doesn't need to box, but he's 4 times world champion, and he's one of the best we've ever had from these shores. And I'm sure that he'll have a look at it and want 1 or 2 more. I'm pretty sure.
Does Vegas and Chavez Jr. make sense to you?
Potentially, but at the same time, it's about Carl Froch for me. It always has been. So I'll have a chat with him and see where we're going. But his career's about Carl Froch.
De Gale?
different stages of their career. James boxed very well tonight. He's very, very talented. You know, him and Groves, two tremendously talented fighters coming through. But you know, Carl's fought everybody who's anyone in the world for the last 6 or 7 years. You know, it's up to us who Carl Froch fights, and you know, we can call the shots.
Well, Froch's girlfriend thinks he'll be tempted by the lure of Vegas and has relieved he's come through the Groves fight.
I can't tell you how happy I am. I'm so proud of him. It's amazing. I haven't seen this smile on his face like he's got on his face now for months and months. I couldn't be happier.
Were you nervous at any point?
Kind of. I felt nervous for about a month leading up to it. I haven't really slept. It's kind of so big. 80,000 is like incredible. But I knew he was sticking to the game plan, and I knew round by round it was coming to him.
If he was to ask you advice about what he does next, what would you say to him? Can you go through all this as a partner, as a mother? Can you go through all this again?
I'd go through anything for Carl. I'd probably like him to say, you know what, I've finished now, Rachel, but who knows what he wants to do. He has said Vegas to me, so maybe let's go to Vegas.
So relief for Froch's family and friends, but bitter disappointment for the Groves camp. His trainer, Paddy Fitzpatrick, thinks complacency costs Groves, but feels he still has a great future ahead.
It was a split second of complacency, let's say, and if he threw the shot incorrect, that's complacency in itself. He opened up his shoulder. So, yes, we have to work on these things. We have to polish them out.
But you still think he's got a real bright future as far as boxing is concerned?
Listen, brother, he got hit with a beautiful right hand, beautiful timing. It's not as if he got beat up. He got hit with a great shot, the same as Lennox Lewis did against Ratman. Lewis came back the next fight against Ratman and done it. I would like to see him now take a rest, reevaluate things, so that when he does move forward, it's with a clear path in front of him. But yes, he has the same bright future as he did yesterday. Why wouldn't he?
Now, General Secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control, Robert Smith, was pleased to see a conclusive finish after the controversy of the first fight.
The atmosphere in there was just great for the whole evening, not just for the Froch fight, and it filled up really, really quickly, which is quite surprising sometimes. But no, wonderful night, good fight, and you know, a great night for all.
Have you ever known anything like 80,000 in a Wembley Stadium for a British fight like that?
No, it's the first time. I mean, I've been to Millennium when there was 50,000 when Kawasaki and Kessler boxed. I've been to Ricky Hatton at Manchester, but last night was just something. One of those things you look back on and think, really pleased you were part of it. You know, it's great that there's a conclusive ending. It's great for Carl because he's coming to the twilight of his career, and to finish like that in a stadium like that. But also, I know George is very disappointed, but he boxed very well last night. He proved his world class. He's young enough, and he's certainly good enough to come back again.
Let's get more now on Carl Froch's world title win over George Groves. We can go live to Wembley and join Fraser Dainton, who's still there. Fraser, I hope you've been home.
Yeah, I'll be going home before too long, I think. There's a lot of people here at this hotel think that I've moved in permanently, but there you go. Beautiful day here at Wembley. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. We're all reflecting on what was a fantastic night for British boxing. I'm joined by the British super middleweight title holder, Paul Smith. Paul, it was a fantastic night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant. It was amazing. And the fight, for me, as a boxing purist, so to speak, lived up to expectations, because it was like a chess match at first. Both of them feeling each other out, both of them wary and respectful of each other's power, which told in the end on Carl Froch's behalf. But great spectacle, amazing for our sport.
Absolutely magnificent knockout as well.
Yeah, what a shot. And they're the shots that's boxing. For George, he's got to just remember, you know what, that's boxing. He's caught plenty of kids with the same shots, the same one-punch type of shots where you couldn't defend them if you tried. You know, that's just a perfect shot. He caught Carl with that. Carl caught George with that last night, and there's no getting up from that. You know, I've seen a few people tweeting that it was stopped too early, or should at least give him a chance. So, you know, he was gone completely. And what a display of mental strength by Carl Froch, in my opinion, to come back from that first fight. A lot of doubt, a lot of, you know, people writing him off, a lot of boos in there last night for him as well, to produce that performance. That was a bit special. That's why he's the world champion that he is.
Was experience the key for you? Because obviously Carl's been there, done it, bought the T-shirt, and as you say, seasoned, battle-hardened, etc. Whereas we've got to remember that George is still only 26 years of age. That was only his 21st fight. Yes, he's at world level, but a bit of experience there. As he said, complacency just caught him out.
Yeah, it did, and I was expecting a bit more from George on the mental side, because he's concentrated so long on the mental game and in the build-up. I thought he'd be a little bit, you know, a little bit more. Okay, he got a bit too not lackadaisy because he was sharp, but he just switched off and just lost focus of the game plan. And I didn't quite know his game plan last night. Where you could see Carl's, you know, just a little step back. It sort of negated George's work as long range by just taking that little step out of range, which Carl was doing so well. But every time he'd get inside and try and mix it, the crowd were going nuts, wasn't he? It was amazing, and the way he caught him. Every time George was parrying with right hand, you could see he was going to try and come round with the left hook, and I was expecting a left hook, but it was that right hand after the left hook. And again, quality knockout, and 80,000 screaming fans and fireworks, pyros, everything else. It was unbelievable. Really a joy to be part of.
You were keeping a close eye on proceedings as well, because there were quite a few characters there that you might have your eye on yourself, because we're hoping that you're going to get a world title shot against Arthur Abraham. There might be one or two other people that were there last night that might be in your sights as well. Yeah, there was Saki Obika there, WBC champion. You know, James Tegeus just won his final eliminator. Michael Kessler was there. You know, everyone around my weight, but the only one I'm thinking about was back in Berlin and watching on his couch, probably, you know, Arthur Abraham, and that's next for me. I spoke last night with Eddie. He's been speaking with Sauerland. Callie Sauerland was there last night. I had to chat with Calla, and I'm very happy and confident that the fight's happening very soon. Just finally then, just to sum up for us what a great week it's been, not only in terms of the fights themselves, but in terms of boxing, in terms of sport, and in terms of how this fight has crossed all the boundaries and generated so much interest. It's been amazing, and it's been like the good old days where, you know, footballers, chefs, Gordon Ramsay, you know, soap stars, tennis players, everyone's had an interest and everyone's had a say in it. And they're like, you know, I think Froch, I think Groves and this and that. And it's been that good a fight. It was split down the middle. I said last night, you know, luckily I picked Froch right, but half the arena were going to be wrong with the pick, because it was like 52, 48% on the polls that we were doing and everything else. But it's that type of fight. If it had been the other way around, I wouldn't have been too disappointed with my prediction, because that's how it goes, that's boxing. But to have so many non-general boxing fans in that arena, and you know, talking to you in the street, stopping you in the street, the first question you get, I got sick of answering it. Go on then, who's going to win the big fight? And I'm delighted with that. If they're involved and interested in my sport, in our sport, then that's fine by me all day, because we need it, and it's a fantastic sport, and on spectacles like that, you can only be happy and proud of being a fan. Paul, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thanks for all your work this week. It's been one heck of a week here at Wembley. It was a great night of sporting action, one that'll live long in the memory for many years to come.
Yeah, it really was, Fraser. Many thanks for that.